Snowcrest from Grail Games is a game that drew us in with the art and the mechanics. It kept us there with there being a solo mode. So I'm going to play that solo mode for you and show you how Snowcrest plays after the break at the table. Alright, we are set up here for a solo play of Snowcrest from Grail Games. So there are a couple of differences in the setup for a solo game. You are going to only be doing 2 achievement as opposed to, I believe it's the number of players plus 1. So in essence, it still is the same. It's 2. We have 10 scrolls, which are endgame points. That's going to be the endgame trigger as well. We have 3 Juniper on this deck. I start with 3 barley, and all Mystic Villager cards are removed from the game. So it will play very, very similar to the multiplayer with a couple of different rules, which I will explain as I go. So the way the game is going to play is I'm going to do one of 3 main actions. I am either going to activate a villager in my village, which is this area over here. The abilities are down here, and that's where a lot of the different actions do come from. I can add a villager from your hand or the row, so I can look at my hand. You have the cost to play them in barley right here, so I can play from my hand, or I can play from the row here. When I play it, I am going to immediately activate the bottom and then flip it over. The last thing I can do is I can rest. Rest is mandatory when you have 3 face-down cards in a row, in a column, or diagonal. You're going to grab any resources showing on face up or showing on your card. So in this instance, I'd get 2 Juniper. These, as you use them, will have barley on the back, but all the other cards do not have anything. So you'll grab any resources, and you will then put all my villagers face up, and then that is a rest. In a solo game, you need to get all of those before your village rests for a 4th time. So as I rest, I'll be flipping these over or discarding them I haven't saw yet. But once all those are flipped over or gone, the game end will be triggered unless I can get all 10 scrolls first. I do have to finish doing my setup, and then I will get into the different actions going through the cards. The last bit of setup is you are going to be playing one of the cards. Oh, that's my deck. I don't know why I'm having my deck as my hand. Let's shuffle that back up. So that is your deck there. Here's my hand of 3 cards. So you're going to look and you are going to play one of these cards from your hand to the middle spot, but without activating it at this time. So I believe the one I'm going to actually start with is I'm going to put out my farmer. So I spend my barley and I put them in the center spot. So going over these actions and a little bit more of the game. So the 4 on the corner you always start with, they have a little denotation, and by having these, you are basically able to do all of the actions in the game. So I will be able to kind of describe it here. So this first one up here is you can get a, I believe it's an offering bowl, prayer bowl. You get this bowl, or you can spend 3 of them to venerate. When you venerate, you are going to draw the top card from here. Let me just show you the bottom one. You're going to see your offering, opponent's curse. The opponent's curse doesn't matter in a solo game. So you have to do this offering. For everything you can't offer, you are going to move your omen to the bad side, which is going to be negative points at the end of the game. If you are here and need to go over, you are instead going to grab one of these, and these are negative points at the end of the game as well. After you pay your offering or take your omens, you are going to get the rewards on the bottom. So for this instance, you would get a gold, which is a wild resource, draw 2 cards, and you'd get 2-point tokens. So they all vary on what you need to discard and so forth, which I'll go over when we do that action. Over here is you can gain 2 barley, or you can draw 2 cards. My farmer is I can spend a Juniper to get a farm. A farm goes down here. I can flip over these buildings down here to get a certain resource. Your farms give you barley. Your little, I believe these are forges or something to that effect, give you the bells, and your shrines give you the moles. The peasant gives you a Juniper, or you can spend 3 Juniper to get your choice of building. When it comes to Juniper, once the last Juniper is taken from the deck, you are going to flip over this card and trigger it. Again, let me show you the bottom one. This is like a forest spirit you're needing to appease, so your curse, again, you have to discard this, or move your omen token for everyone you can't discard. We'll ignore the opponent's curse, and then you get a reward depicted down there. We've put it to the bottom. We put 3 more juniper, rinse, and repeat. Like so. Finally, the aristocrat. This symbol here means to flip over all of your buildings to their active side. Your buildings do not reset when you rest. You need to take this specific action icon right there. Or they can move your omen token to the good side. So if we were here and we used it, we would just move 1 to the left. Or you can meditate. Now typically in meditate, what you would do is you would choose how many bells you wish to meditate with. So you would choose between the ones that you have. You can spend cards from your hand as it, or if he was out, I could say I could flip him over to get 2 bells. That's the same true if you need to trigger any ability or to put something out. You can always flip over a card to use their resources on the top, or you can always discard them to, again, use those resources, but only to trigger and to put out. You cannot use it to actually take tokens. So when you meditate, typically you would say how many you're going to meditate with, and then you go around the table and everyone has a chance to beat you. In the solo mode, you will get 1 point for every 6 bells you are able to offer. So that is the one main change there. So that is all of the actions that you are able to take between your villagers and then some other cards might allow you to do other things or allow you to do them in a different way, such as this Careless Initiative. You can only spend 1 bull, move your omen over 1 to venerate, as opposed to up here where you're spending 3. You're limited to the 9 spaces, but you are allowed to replace things. If you replace a starter card or one of the cards from your deck, the green, it'll just go to your discard pile. If you replace one of the cards from over here, they will just go underneath the deck, and so forth. One other icon I will mention, you have this poet with this little icon up here. What that means is you can flip this card over to ignore one of the sacrifices between the venerating and the forest guardian. So I believe for the most part that catches you up to how the game plays. So now I'm going to play through it, and once I get to a spot that I think I've shown you most of the things, I'll probably fast forward until we get maybe to that last rest action. You can see how I did. So I'm basically just going to be doing action, action, action. Typically you'd be going back and forth between all the opponents. But my first thing, I think I may be grabbing that poet because that's nice to be able to ignore that. That is spend 1 to draw a card. The gardener, that's 5. I have 1, 2. I could turn them over for 4, and that would be 5, which would get me 2 barley and a farm. I don't think I want to go over here yet. I think we will spend 1 barley to grab this poet. Now, he still will flip over, and you have to basically wait until you rest to use him. So I'm going to choose optimally where I want to place him, and I'm thinking we're going to probably place him right here, and we flip him over. Nothing happens because he doesn't have an ability on his bottom. Now you have the Great Monk, which is a juniper to put out one of the green buildings, move your omen over 2, and then get a bowl. Alrighty, so my next action. So I am running low on barley, so I think we are just going to flip him over and get 2 barley. 1 and 2. We are then going to flip over our peasant to get a juniper. And then we are going to flip over our farmer, spending the juniper, which goes off to the side for a supply, to get another farm. I forgot to mention, for end of game scoring, so typically in end of game scoring you would also see who has the most resources and they get points. That is not happen in a solo game. Instead, if you can get down to here, you'll get points based on how far you get your buildings. 1 point, then 2 more, then 2 more, so you can get up to 5 here. And then wherever this will be the points I get as well. So I now need to rest. Looking at here, I have 2 barley showing. So we'll grab our 2 barley. We'll flip over our cards. And we will, I think I'll just discard them, that way we don't get confused. My first rest is done. I now can start playing. Oh, forgot to flip over my poet. Looking out here, I do like that Great Monk. He does let you do a lot of cool stuff. He is 5 though, which would be a lot of my barley. I do want to start doing some of this stuff soon. I like that Mystical Teacher only being 1 and 1 with a 5. So let's go ahead and go spend 1, spend 2 barley, 3, 4, and 5. Wait, nope, hang on, because I don't have the bowl yet that I will need to be able to trigger the veneration. So we'll start by doing my pilgrim to get that bowl. Now we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to bring the Mystical Teacher. So I know I'm going to probably flip him over to not have to sacrifice something. So we're going to go right here with him. We're going to spend the bowl to do the venerate. So we grab this card. So it's a frozen goblin. So my offering is I need to sacrifice 2 resources and a building. I probably went a little too soon here, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and we will sacrifice one of our resources. We'll flip him over to ignore the other resource, and we will discard my farm. So now that gives me a gold, which again is wild, can be used for anything. I get to draw 2 cards, and I get a point token, like so. And that is that. So this goes to the bottom, and we go to my next turn. So I've drawn a merchant. A merchant is, you can do these as many times as you want. You can turn 5 barley into 3 juniper, 3 juniper into a point, or a point into 3 juniper, or 5 barley, etc. And let me replace this card. So now we have the crafty farmer. So I can send my farm in to get any building of my choice. So I'm opting not wanting to rest yet. I want to maybe get a few more things out there. And maybe use some of my people up here. So let's see about maybe that herder to get more barley. So that for 2 barley. So I could see about playing a card now here, which again wouldn't trigger a rest, even though it would be flipped because I don't have 3 in a row. I'd have to flip over another card. I don't have enough for the merchant, although I could turn that in to get the juniper. I can put out the great chopper. I have my counselor. I don't have enough to get a point for my bells to meditate. Looking down here, there's still that great monk. 1, 2, 3. I could flip her over for 4, 5. Or I can trade in my merchant. And that way I'm not triggering my rest yet. Let's do that. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. We discard my merchant. Normally they'd go, I can slip it off here to the side. So that's 5 to get the gardener. Yep, we're going to go gardener. We're going to put our gardener there. And then we want 2 barley or farm. You know what? We're going to grab our farm back. And we have our farm like so. And there we go. The great counselor lets me draw 3 and flip over my buildings. So now I can see about putting out 1 more card if I really wanted to be able to fill up my grid and really optimize what I can do. I'm really not wanting to flip my farmer over yet because they're going to give me 2 barley when I rest. So that's a juniper. Wouldn't mind getting a juniper to be able to trigger that the next time. I don't care about flipping over just that 1 tile. I can't prayer yet. So yeah, I think we're going to do our peasant to get 1 juniper. Like so. Then we need to rest. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 barley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 barley. Like so. And then everything flips back over. And like so. And there we are. And we're done with half of our rests. So with him being flipped over, now may be the time to grab that last juniper. That way, when it's the guardian, I can choose to ignore something. So I might play my great chopper, which gives me 3. And yeah, I think we're going to do that. We are going to spend 1, 2, 3. We're going to spend 3 and 4. Great chopper. I'm going to use them to do the 3 juniper. So we're going to grab 1, 2, 3, and I will remember 1 just goes on there because you basically would take the 1, you then trigger this, then put 3 and take what you need. So this curse is to discard a barley and to discard a card from my hand, which I think I'm actually fine with, so I don't even need to flip them over, and that's going to give me one of the point tokens. So then you would put the 3 barley, or with 3 juniper on top, like so, and then you take the rest that you were supposed to get, which is the 2 more, and we are done. So I've now done this achievement, which is take me the first to remove the last one, so that gives me 2 more of these, and now I'll just flip this over to show it's completed. The other one wants me to have 2 farms, and then 1 of each of the others. So I may want to see about doing that with my peasant, so I can get those 2 up there. Which I think will be our next action. We are going to spend the 3 juniper we just got to flip them over, and we are going to grab, let's grab the blue, in case I need to do the prayer bells, I think. Do I think I'm going to get to the prayer bells, though? I don't think I'm going to be able to get there. So let's just, well, I mean, I got to grab them anyways, but I think I'm going to grab my green one first. Like so. Alrighty. Next action. Kind of feel like I might venerate again. I'm getting a pretty good build up of things, and those might give me a lot of the victory points. Although I do want to maybe get there, so if I put them out, I can replace one of these cards here. When you replace a card, it does have to be a face-up card. I can't replace one of my face-down ones. Do I have 4? I don't have 2 in my hand. Those aren't flipped up yet. So I could flip one of them over. Let's go ahead and flip over my gardener to get 2 barley. And then I want to put out this crafty farmer. So we are going to spend 3 barley, and my gold coin is a barley to bring the crafty farmer out. Oh, that's going to trigger a rest. We're actually going to replace our herder. To put out the crafty farmer, we are going to turn in one of our farms to grab my blue building, like so. They get flipped over. I got rid of my gold coin, so I'm not going to be able to prayer like I wanted to. That's fine, though, because I think next what we're going to do is we are going to flip over our farmer to spend our juniper to get that farm back. I now have those, which gives me these 2. Like so. So I have 4 left to get. I'm about to do my 3rd rest, so before I rest again, I need to get these last 4. So we rest, so we go across. We get 1 barley, 1 bell, and that is it. So that was not as productive of a rest as we normally would want to do. And this is the easy difficulty, so we'll see what happens. So I know I want to get the bowl to venerate. So let's go ahead and spend this to get the bowl. Spend the bowl here to venerate. So this one wants me to get rid of a resource. We'll get rid of my bell. Get rid of a card from my hand. We'll do that. And it wants me to get rid of a building. I think I'm going to hold off on that and flip over my poet. That's going to give me 2 gold coins, draw a card, and 1 point. Usually the venerating gives more points. I'm getting some of the lower point ones this time. Alrighty, so now I need to be careful with how I do this. So I could try and do the Guardian, which will probably give me 1, which leaves me with 2 that I need to get. So I probably want to venerate, so looking at my Careless Initiative is probably the way to do that. So let's go ahead and spend 2 barley to grab the Careless Initiative. We are going to put the Careless Initiative, I believe, right here. Replacing my Peasant. We're going to move this over 1. We are going to spend this as the Bull to venerate. That's a bit better. Like so. So 2 resources and 2 buildings. So we will discard our 2 buildings. We already used him, so this is going to have to move over 1 more. And we are going to get rid of our gold coin. But that allows us to draw 3 cards and gets us 2 point tokens. So now the issue we have is that we need to score 10 points or more, and right now I have -2. I can bring it over 1 more. Alright, I think I got it. This is going to be a little convoluted. So we are going to use our chopper for his 2 juniper to do the great chopper to get a farm. Now I am going to... Nope, I needed that juniper face up. So I don't think I'm going to win this one because I'm going to have the 1 point token left, and I believe I needed to do that. To win, you must earn all the scroll tokens before your village rests for the 4th time. Yeah, I don't think I'm able to get that last one because my plan is to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to put out the Great Monk to replace my Aristocrat. I do not have the Juniper to put out a building, but this would move over 1, would move over 2, and I would get a Prayer Bowl, and this would be flipped over. I would then rest for my 4th time. I would get a Barley, but I do not have the last point token, so I do not win, plus I only have 9 points. So I think I rushed that first veneration. I think I should have kind of built up my area first a bit more before I venerated. Maybe got those before I really focused on other things. I kind of spread myself a little too thin early. So really didn't find a good spot to really fast forward to. This way I got to show you basically everything that was beginning to end of Snowcrest the solo mode. Again, very similar to the multiplayer, except obviously you're not taking everything all at once. And the whole prayer things, that felt like you really had to focus on that if you wanted to get those in this game to try and get those 6. So, anyways, that was, as I said, Snowcrest Solo. Now if you could please head down below, hit like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, comment down below if there was a card that really intrigued you, especially with the cool artwork that this game does have. Also down there, you can help support the channel by going to our Ko-fi and making a one-time donation and help me wallow in my defeat by buying me a drink, or you can support our Patreon and subscribe to our channel there. So, until next time, let the snow fall.